Hello and welcome to the maiden edition of Mama's Nest. Mama's Nest is a show that's specially designed for experienced moms as well as moms-to-be. On today's episode, we're discussing early pregnancy. Now, being a mom is one of the toughest jobs in the world. There's nothing at all that can prepare you for that role. But here on Mama's Nest, we're going to hold your hand and tell you everything that you need to know about pregnancy, motherhood, and childcare. So yes, this is the show that's made specially for you. The information we share here is very valuable as we have partnered with experts as well as experienced moms who are going to share their expert knowledge and personal experiences. So we're basically teaching you everything that you need to know about pregnancy, childcare, and motherhood. My name is Fome Ejumudo, and I am your host for Mama's Nest. Mama's Nest is proudly powered by Cousins Baby, makers of child skincare products to support moms on their motherhood journey. Mom, you can do this. Welcome back to Mama's Nest. Joining me on this very first episode of the show is Dr. Sofiat. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sofiat.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Sofiat is a consultant OBGYN, and she'll be sharing with us her expert opinion on early pregnancy. We also have on the show Igunbode Oluwakemi.
Thank you very much
Yummy
for having
mommy.
me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Kemi is a mom of a 4-month-old baby, and she's also a business development executive as well as an event planner.
We aim to please.
It sounds like you're very busy. Welcome to the show.
Yes. It can be very busy
I know,
sometimes.
especially with a 4-month-old baby.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. I'm happy that you're a new mom, so the experiences of early pregnancy are still very fresh in your memory.
Very fresh.
So did you have like any weird, crazy cravings?
I was craving this traditional Yoruba dish, ekuru.
Okay.
Someone had to make it for me from all the way from Ibadan, send it via dispatch. It was a whole lot. But whenever I eat it, I feel there's this joy that like, okay, yes, I made heaven. I don't know.
It can be scary sometimes because you're eating almost like uncontrollably. And sometimes you have to remind yourself that, oh, this must be pregnancy cravings.
Sometimes you won't even know. You just feel like you want to eat something, and then you eat it today, you eat it tomorrow, and you're like, oh, okay.
And then you suddenly
realize that okay, it's becoming an habit and all that.
Tell us, during the first few months of pregnancy, what were some of the signs that you experienced?
Okay, so I feel more tired, more exhausted because my body is trying to understand that okay, there's something new going on in my body system, and then there is, sometimes perversion to food, sometimes food cravings. It depends on the mood, and then a little bit of nausea. It's just here and there for the first 3 months.
Okay, for the first 3 months. That's interesting. I think it's very amazing that your body can actually manufacture a baby, and it's quite understandable, all the changes that you go through. Your body, like you said, is trying to understand what is going on and adjust to it. But tell us, Dr. Sofiat, what are some of the signs that might go unnoticed?
Okay, so like you said, the first thing that most people would like have an idea that they are pregnant, because normally the menstrual flow every month is a sure banker that you are not pregnant. So if eventually you miss your period, so that's like the first thing that most people will say, and then they go and do a pregnancy test. Usually the first days when you miss your period, you usually may not have any symptoms. Like for her now, the baby is just forming, and then those hormones that are usually produced in pregnancy, they are just starting to be produced, So most of the things you will note, it won't be so noticeable at that period. Sometimes you might get tired, like he said, you might want to sleep a lot. But most important thing, like after like 2 weeks of you missing your period, you can start having this feeling of, you want to vomit, or you feel like vomiting, or you are even actually vomiting. Most women usually would not be able to take anything down. Like some people are even saying food and then they are like running because they know if it goes into their mouths, they are just going to throw it out for you. Most times brushing is a problem because sometimes when the toothpaste gets to your mouth, the taste is like there's a devil in your mouth. And then
tongue sometimes.
And then when you get to the back of the throat, exactly. So vomiting also is also part of the things that you feel. And then sometimes also during the early part of the pregnancy, like you could feel some enlargement in your breasts.
Okay.
You could feel some, some
Tenderness.
tenderness, pain. So those are the things that people put together like, okay, I think I'm pregnant. And sometimes there are some grandmothers that even if it's a day pregnancy,
like this, they say this one is pregnant.
They start saying that
My
maybe
mother-in-law knows how to detect it.
I don't know how they do it.
She says the eyes look glassy. She's a retired nurse. So she says that the eyes look glassy. She will just see you like, before you tell her, she will just see you like this.
Are you sure?
They have a microscope actually that they use in looking.
I think it's years of experience.
No, I think it's also maybe the color of the eyes too, because sometimes, with pregnancy, like I used to tell people that pregnancy is not a child's play, because pregnancy actually affects every system in your body, from your air. Some people will lose air just because they are pregnant. Right? You understand? And it affects everything. Your eyes may be paler because sometimes like the baby also needs some of the nutrients from you. And I keep telling pregnant women that you have to eat for the baby, because whether you like it or not, the baby is going to take whatever it wants from you. So those are some of the symptoms that you can actually experience during the early part of the pregnancy.
So I also understand that for many women, it's very serious, like their morning sickness is very serious. I know a couple of women who had very rigorous first trimester. You couldn't eat anything. Yeah. You eat something, you're throwing it up. You can't tolerate even the sight of food and all that. When it gets to that, and you said eat for the baby, so what do? Do you seek medical help? What exactly, how do mothers like that go about it?
Of course, there are some women that they actually have very terrible morning sickness. And those kind of women, like, you have to admit them into the hospital. Because now, the only thing that we need to sustain them now is to give them something through their veins. Like, you have to admit them, give them IV fluids, because they are not eating. Then you have to give them medications that would also help to stop the vomiting. Some women actually have it terrible. For that first 12 weeks of pregnancy, they can't come out of the hospital because they have to be there. They have to somehow get hydration. So some people actually have it very terrible. So it's not everybody that will just have that mild morning sickness. And mind you, it's not just because it can happen anytime. So just because they say it's morning sickness, it doesn't mean that it's in the morning you vomit. Anytime, you can vomit in the afternoon, at night. Yeah, it's just that it's commoner in the morning. It's not usually very common for women to vomit in the night. So that's why it's kind of termed morning sickness. But it can happen any time of the day. Yeah.
Well, I think I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't really have those symptoms.
That's good for you.
I didn't experience.
I didn't really experience any of that. So, but I had a friend that didn't have it well at all. And sometimes I even had to feign I'm also feeling sick so that she won't feel like
you are
she had it all bad. You understand? Like, she has to, from one medication to the other. She tried crackers, she tried lime, she tried licking salt just to be able to keep something down, but it wasn't working for her. That's why I always say that pregnancy is tailored to each individual.
Oh yes,
separately.
Your experience for every baby.
Yes, for every pregnancy also differs too. Like, as I am lucky now that I didn't have any of I wasn't categorized at to the part where it was the extreme morning sickness and all of those things. The second baby could, but I'm praying.
Yes, I'm also praying for you. That is also
and it's so unusual for you because it's your first pregnancy.
Yeah, people usually
for people that are like is their first pregnancy, is their first experience. You expect that they will have more pregnancy symptoms because this is the first time their body is actually getting exposed to those pregnancy hormones.
Well, God is faithful.
Congratulations.
And I hope it remains like that for you. Amen. Because the stories I've heard. And when is it advised to start antenatal classes?
Okay, so there's this myth, like, people say that you shouldn't start antenatal until you're 3 months, until you're 4 months. But the truth of the matter is that once you have done a pregnancy test, you have missed a period, and you have done a pregnancy test, and the pregnancy test is positive, it's usually advised that you should actually have a scan done. Because the fact that you are pregnant, there are different kind of pregnancy, or there are different kind of early pregnancy complications that you can have.
Okay.
For example, now your pregnancy test can be positive, but the baby is not actually growing inside the womb. So it's very, very important that at the beginning, once the pregnancy test is positive, at least the minimum you should do is to do an ultrasound scan, so that it can tell you the location of the pregnancy.
And just to make sure that everything
is fine. And then immediately you should register for antenatal care. So we shouldn't be waiting.
Tell us this one.
Yeah, no, because that's what I'm telling you, that most people will say, no, especially those that have had children.
Say that.
My doctor would tell me that experienced moms are the most stubborn set of moms.
We chill at home on you like last trimester. Then we
I had my pregnancy test on a Tuesday. Wednesday morning, very early, the first thing I did was to go to the hospital, inform my doctor, and he scheduled an appointment for a proper scan, proper blood work, right? So that we'll be able to know, is there anything we should look forward to? Yes, we confirmed the pregnancy. I think it was the following weekend. We confirmed the pregnancy, the location of the pregnancy, as she had said. Everything was in its rightful place. And then that's how they'll be able to measure, okay, is this baby growing as expected, right? Some people just sit down at home, wait till 12 weeks, whereas the baby is not even growing. Let me use that word, right? And then there are some diseases that they can easily detect at the early stages, right? That's why it's always best that the moment you realize that you're pregnant, go to your doctor.
That's actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's very, very important, because during the early times, the early part of the pregnancy, like around 11 weeks, those are when you can actually detect if a baby has some abnormalities. For example, Down syndrome, for example.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can actually do an ultrasound scan, look at the neck of the baby, see if it's thicker than usual.
Oh, that's how
and
they
then
detect it.
and then if you see that kind of thickness, then you can now do some further investigations.
So as little as that fetus is, they can
as little as they are, you can actually detect some abnormalities. And because I had a patient recently, like, she did a pregnancy test, it was positive, and she just decided that I'll wait till like when I'm 12 weeks, I'll go. And then by the time she came, you know the psychology of the fact that you have been pregnant, and then you do a scan and they're telling you that baby is dead. That's the most devastating news that any mother can actually have. So that's why it's very important that you do a scan early as it's sad. That's why it's important that as early as you know that you are pregnant, at least do a scan, so that you know that everything is fine, and they can start you on some medications that you should be taking, so that you can now come back and register for your antenatal proper. But at least you know pregnancy is in where it should be, and there are no issues.
And everything is
fine. Yes,
everything is going well. So you've heard it from our expert guest, Dr. Sophia. Mamas, immediately you see that you're pregnant, once you do a test at home and it's positive, please seek professional help. Go and see your doctor. Don't sit at home and say, I'm a mom of 6 children, or I'm a mom of 3 children. I'm experienced. I know this thing very well. No, please, you've heard from her. You need to do a scan just to confirm that everything is going on as it should. So tell us, Dr. Sophia, when a woman takes in, obviously you feel tired, you feel like sleeping all the time. How much rest should a woman get? What's ideal? What's the ideal amount of rest she should get?
So when a woman is pregnant, you cannot say she should sleep 12 hours, she should sleep 14 hours, or she should sleep 16 hours. Most pregnant women they work. You don't expect that all pregnant women are stay-at-home mom. Yes. Some of them are career women. So you cannot say, okay, now, because now you are pregnant 6 weeks, you must stay at home for 16 hours or thereabout. But you should take enough rest.
As the body demands.
As the body demands. Some people may sleep more. So if you feel like you feel tired, and then if you feel tired all the time, and that is why it's also very important that you actually need to seek advice early, because sometimes there are a lot of changes that happen in pregnancy. Sometimes the blood level may be low. So that may even contribute to the fact that you are getting tired. So if those things are checked and everything is fine, then we'll just advise you that, okay, fine, sleep as needed. So you are not the kind of person that will keep late nights. Some people are not sleeping by 11, 12, but at least you should have at least minimum number of hours to sleep. 6 to 8 hours is fine. But we are not going to say, okay, you must sleep because you're always tired, 14 hours, 16 hours, So sleep as your body needs.
needs
Yes.
it. We're just scratching the surface on early pregnancy, all the intricacies of that first trimester. Thank you so much for staying with us. We'll go on a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Mama's Nest, proudly powered by Cousins Baby. Before we went on the break, we were discussing early pregnancy, some of the signs and symptoms, and how to manage them with my guest, Dr. Sophia and Kemi. So tell us, Dr. Sophia, immediately I find out, okay, I'm pregnant. How can I calculate my due dates, at least to give me an idea of how long I'm going to be pregnant for?
Yeah, that's very important, because by the time you are getting to like the 9 months, everybody is tired. So usually, you calculate your due dates. We usually start from the last day you see the last day you see your menses.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, now I'm going to use today. Let's say today is the first day of the month of January. So today is 1st of January, okay? That I've seen my period. So it's the first day of your last menses.
The first day
of your last menses. That's how you calculate it. So if today is like the first day in January, and my menses started today, 1st of January, so automatically I'm going to count 40 weeks from that 1st of January.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now,
I'm catching on.
the EDD, or the expected date of delivery, is going to be 40 weeks from that day.
Okay, and it's usually accurate, plus or minus.
So for women that are very sure, and that is why we always advocate that once you miss your period, or you've not seen your menses and you've done a pregnancy test, you should do a scan. Because what usually happens is that over a period of time, like in 2 months, most women can't remember when they saw their menses.
It's true.
So the person comes to the hospital and you're asking, when last did you see your menses?
Right?
And everybody is looking, and it's so frustrating. Like, and then the patient also has not done a scan. So it's now a dilemma. Like, how do you now calculate the EDD? So that's why. So you actually calculate it from the first day of the last menstrual period. Yeah, that's how you calculate it. So calculate 40 weeks from that day, and then you have the EDD. But pregnancy duration is actually not, we say you can actually deliver a baby as from 37 weeks. So it doesn't mean that baby should be, it doesn't mean that baby must be born at 40 weeks. But we just calculate that duration. Like, if you put like many women together, let's say you put 100 women together,
so it's like an
maybe
average.
Averagely most of them would deliver by that 40 weeks. Do you understand? But you would people can actually deliver from that 37 weeks. Yes.
Okay, so that's why they say get your bags ready from
37 weeks. Yes, because you can just after 37 weeks, baby is just tired. Like, I don't want to stay again. I want to come out, and
even
then you have
yourself as a mom, you're tired. You're heavy. You're like ×2 your weight. I just want this to be over.
Walking like
I just want it to be over.
You get to that point where you're walking like a
penguin.
Like a penguin.
And that's why it's important for you to actually be able to do a scan early, because this gestational age is important, because you don't want to deliver a baby that is too small.
Okay.
Because those are the danger. Like, for example, now, like I said, like most people will not remember when they saw their menses. Most people have not done a scan, and now here you are with a patient, and you don't even know how many weeks. So the danger in that is that you could deliver a baby that is too early, and then baby is born and they start having respiratory difficulties.
But it's also interesting that a scan can detect the EDD. I find technology is so amazing.
Okay, so the scan that you want to use to actually detect an EDD, it's something that you have done early. Do you understand? You cannot come and do a scan. That's why most pregnant women, they come quarreling and they come fighting us in the clinic that I did a scan at 6 weeks. It tells me that I'm going to deliver on the 6th of August. And she has done another scan at 30 weeks. And he's saying, no, it's July. Which one should I now take? Do you understand? There's always this confusion about it. So usually, if you are going to use a scan to date a pregnancy, we actually would want a scan that you have done earlier than 20 weeks.
Okay.
Those are the ones you can actually rely on. Like you can use it actually to date a pregnancy, because the ones that are later, you cannot really rely on them.
All right.
So that's why you see there's a lot of issues. Like when you're doing a scan at 32 weeks, for example, it gives you a different EDD than the one you've done at 16 weeks, because you can't actually use that to date.
The moment I got
EDD
pregnant,
accurate?
I had my EDD. I ended up having a cesarean section at an earlier date, 38 weeks, 2 days actually. Yeah, but I had my EDD stuck to my head. Even before then, because the moment, when you're learning to, and like the moment you are pregnant, by default, your Instagram page just starts bringing pregnancy.
Algorithm.
It just starts bringing news about pregnancy, things you can do as a mom, this, that. So you just read everything together. But I would just say that at the end of the day, no matter what you read, talk to your doctor.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because each person is just different.
It's different.
The problem with those posts are actually why we don't usually tell women or expectant mom to take those things so much, because most of those things are written by you, a mom that went through some of these things. Some of them are not scientific. There's no, they are no.
So you always need to have like a balance,
because it's somebody's experience. What somebody experienced might not be
different from
exactly. So like you said, rightly said, just visit your doctors and then they will tell you. They will be able to advise you better.
Yeah, but there are some things that you can still pick. That's why I said at the end of the day, ask your doctor.
Exactly.
Experience you can find somebody else that relates.
Especially a first-time mom, first trimester can be scary, and you would see a lot on social media. You would see a lot on social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the worst of it all. So it's just that you can read everything, but digest what is important to you. Digest what is important to you.
Because that's one thing that also stuck with me when I was having my baby. There's a lot of negative information about pregnancy out there. So I had to kind of rewire my mind that I'm not going to suck into all those negative stories that a lot of people spread. That my pregnancy wasn't going to be like that, and for the most part, it was quite enjoyable. It was quite enjoyable.
Doctor's visits are always very funny, because I'll say, "Hey, I read." You'll be like, "Oh God, what did you read this time?"
It's just important to pick the information that you are getting very carefully. Don't digest everything that you see out there.
Just filter out what is important.
Yes. So moms, you've heard from the experts. Moderation is key, especially when it comes to doing workouts and your fitness goals. Please pay attention to your body, and more importantly, seek medical advice. It's been such an interesting discussion here on early pregnancy, but there's still more to come. And while we're at it, please don't forget to leave your questions in the comment section, or you can send it as a message to any one of our social media platforms now rolling on the screen. Don't forget to also download the Mama's Nest app. From there, you can very easily calculate your due dates. Mama's Nest is powered by Carson's Baby, and we'll be back in a bit.